My parents, 71 female, 69 male, had 3 children. I have a brother 6 years older than me who died at 20 in a freak car accident, and a sister who is 10 years younger than me. My mother has let me know on numerous passive-aggressive occasions that I was an accident. They never flat out told me they were disappointed I was born, but when a kid hears that he was unplanned and caused inconvenience by being alive, how is he supposed to take that? I really looked up to my older brother. He was big, strong, a hero to me. He protected me from jerks, and lo and behold, often those jerks were our own parents, and taught me how to fight so I could protect myself too. He was also quite handsome and popular, and was a good athlete. He played starting tight end for his high school football team, and was a reserve player of some note for his college. During the late 1980s, people would, no joke, tell him he looked like a very young Marlon Brando. In short, he was a man to me, and an example to me in a way that my petty, weird, manipulative punk of a dad could never be. As an adult, I can see my parents were hilariously, tragically and awful. As a kid, I tended to think something was wrong with me. If my brother had any deficiency, it was that he wasn't book smart or musically gifted. Straight C student. My parents saw that my brother was handsome, affable, and a good athlete, so they spared no expense in trying to make him something he wasn't in the classroom or with the piano and violin. When I came along, my mom and dad always treated me like an afterthought. I noticed a definite difference the way they treated him compared to the way they treated me, and it wasn't due to a difference in our ages. They just behaved in a way that let me know that he mattered more than I did. My brother wasn't like them though, and he was always really nice to me. For example, when I was 10 and showed real, natural ability with the piano they bought specifically for him, he tried to get them to stop paying for his lessons because he didn't have musical talent and he hated the piano anyway, and suggested they pay for me instead because I showed some talent. Well, obviously they vetoed the idea, and they never paid for me to have music lessons. I now play the piano part-time at a local bar as a for-fun job, having paid for lessons myself as an adult. He also tended to notice that when I was a kid, my parents underplayed my birthday compared to his, so he would spend his own money to take me out and get me presents, and see that I was treated like I matter. I was in the 5th grade when my sister was born, and I knew that I was even more of an inconvenience than ever before. I was also often used as a babysitter for my sister when she was a kid. They babied her, and were as always super nice to my older brother. I was the Jan Brady of the family, and became an overachiever, but never got any validation from my parents. My parents spared no expense with my brother's college too. He won a partial athletic scholarship, and my parents paid for the rest. Long story short, he was jogging for exercise one night, and a drunk driver hit and K'd him at a crosswalk. I was devastated, of course, as were my parents. My parents took out a lot of their frustration and grief on me, never ceasing to insinuate and remind me that I could never replace my brother, that I was inferior to my brother. Why are they stuck with me? This isn't the adult, bitter me recounting things in my favor. This is me after years of therapy looking back calmly and rationally. My parents instilled in me the idea that they wished that if it had to be one of us who died, that it could have been me and not my brother. I was also moderately overweight and short as a teen, and this made me feel even worse. It didn't help that my dad always compared me, unfavorably, to my brother in terms of height and athletic ability. Your brother was 6'3" when he was your age. Gee, thanks for this helpful advice, Dad. I'll have a word with my legs and tell them to stop being so short. Because, as you know, my genes are my fault and not yours. When it came my time to go to college, nothing from my parents. No offer to pay, no offer to help. No praise for my perfect marks. No praise for the fact that I had gotten numerous awards in high school for science and engineering. They never attended any of my ceremonies and only attended my graduation. And even then, only begrudgingly it seemed. Their only comment was the passive-aggressive observation that I was just a co-salutatorian and not the valedictorian. I had never, even once in my entire academic career, gotten less than an A, outstanding, exemplary, for an academic or elective mark, from kindergarten to 12th grade. I got perfect marks in college too. So I didn't need their help to pay my way through school, and by this time I was fully aware that they didn't like having me around. I was offered several full-ride scholarships, both in and out of state. When I said I wanted to take a scholarship across the country, my parents just shrugged. No comments like, "Oh, stay near us. We want you near home. We'll miss you." So I thought, F it, and blew town. I worked at a Rite Aid drugstore to supplement my scholarships. I majored in aerospace and minored in physics. All through college, I made the effort to go through the motions of visiting my parents on holidays, but I could tell I was just as meaningless to them as I always was. By the time I started graduate school, also full-ride scholarship, I just said au revoir to all of them and stopped calling. I could see how much I mattered to them once again, because they never once tried to call me after that, or at least until recently. I've been working in aerospace for 17 years now. I make well over $200,000 a year. I own my own house, 2 luxury vehicles, an RV, and a motorcycle. And I've been married for nearly 20 years to a beautiful woman, 40, who chose me before I was even close to having these things, and who has her own career in literature. We have a 5-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. From my own experience with my parents, I know exactly what not to do with my kids. My sister got married at 19 to a guy I privately thought looked like a loser and a user. My parents spared no expense for her lavish wedding. At the time, I wasn't yet in my current, strong financial position, but I was still making a great salary. I attended the wedding, and everyone was just as cold to me as I remember them. No one congratulated me on the fact that I was now fully grown. I hit my growth spurt at 20, and over 6 feet tall, and now very slender and fit. Oh well. I gave my sister $5,000 as a present. I also had a chance to play the piano at the wedding because my sister asked me to after a family friend remarked that I had mentioned taking private lessons. Everyone was enthusiastic about my playing and backslapping me. Not a peep from my parents, of course. My sister has a 6-year-old daughter. Sister divorced her husband 2 years ago because, surprise, surprise, he was a loser and a user and completely useless. He won't give her child support because he has no money, so my sister moved back home with my parents. She wants to go back to school. She had gotten a degree in modern art that my dad paid for, but she never got any work with it, and now she doesn't think she can land a well-paying job with it unless she adds to it or gets a different degree. And now my parents suddenly remembered my phone number. They didn't say so, but from what I gather, they blew through all their money indulging her and their own tastes. They regularly go on lavish vacations. So now they think it's my duty as her rich big brother to step in and pay. My mom says that it would be classy for me to offer to pay since my sister could really use the money, and I didn't spend a lot of time with her when she was young, because you moved out so early. Okay. She also says that now that she and my dad are getting old, it's a shame that I hardly visit, and they're confused as to why I'm so arrogant and not seeing them more often. Total gaslighting. I notice my dad has nothing to say about all this because he knows what really happened. To this day, I'd love to smash a fist like a freight train right into his face. He told me that my brother was always ashamed of me soon after my brother died. And this was after my brother told me to my face a few weeks earlier that he would always be there for me, and that he loved me, and that no one is ever going to hurt you if I'm standing. And in a way, my brother's been with me my whole life. I am inspired by him when I want to succeed. My dad is a jerk. The thing is, I know my parents are full of crap, but I don't want my niece to suffer. She's the same age group as my own kids, and I hate the idea of her going without. I never had a bad relationship with my sister, but she takes after my parents and is something of a self-involved narcissist. I am financially in a position to help pay, but I dislike the way they've all treated me since I was a boy, and my own kids will be in college in a blink of an eye. Also, who knows, maybe I could get fired tomorrow, and this whole lifestyle will come crashing down. Under what terms should I offer money? Should I offer any at all? If not, how can I help in other ways? It's a shame for your sister and her daughter, but their situation is a result of your sister's bad life choices. It's not your job to bail them out of these problems. You have to set up a boundary here, because it won't stop with this money, I suspect. I imagine that it will be your sister's college. Then she needs money for her own home. Then your parents will start to suffer as they get older, and they'll need something. And, of course, you are a terrible son if you refuse to pay for it, and so on and so on. You have 2 children of your own to look after, and while you've built an enviable life for yourself, you are not exactly a millionaire. Take care of your own wife and children first. I, 29 female, moved to a new state a few months ago after my brother, 34 male, invited me to stay with him until I could get my own place. He did not give me any clear-cut rules at all. I pay rent. Things have happened that put me on edge, like him and his wife, 29 female, sitting me down on Sundays to have meetings about how I was bettering myself and what jobs I'd been looking at. They came into my room and sat down on my floor a week into me being there, demanding that I allow them to look through my email to see what jobs I was applying to. It got to the point that they were mentioning that I needed to exercise more. I drink too many energy drinks. I don't eat as healthy as they think I should. They would hold things against me, like me mentioning that I enjoy bike riding in passing, and then getting mad that I didn't get a bike. You don't hold yourself to what you say. I had applied to a banking job that I was excited about, but the hiring process was long. So in the meantime, I got a job serving at a steakhouse. The hours were long, and I often did doubles, so I'd end up coming home around 11 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. I'm honestly not much of a drinker, but I had a beer after work here and there. I can't drink a whole one, just to take the edge off after work. I'd say I had one beer once or twice a week. They found out about this by going into my room when I wasn't home and looking through my things because they were looking for a missing glass. They held a meeting, or an intervention, stating that they were worried about me and thought I had a problem. I honestly don't. But truly, it just turned into a bash fest about everything they thought I was doing wrong. They also recorded the whole conversation without my knowledge to send to family. Things were awkward and tense. My other brother and his wife flew to our state for a wedding, and then they all sat me down and bashed me. It was just a lot and overwhelming and hurt my feelings, but I tried to get past it. Things were okay for a while. I just finished training for my banking job and work from home. I hardly go out as I work a lot. My boyfriend lives an hour away. We were already planning on moving in together before the year ends, especially with my better paying job. I hadn't seen my boyfriend in a couple of weeks. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, but also my birthday. He came and picked me up and took me out to get food and spend time together. We watched videos on my phone while eating ice cream, which drained the battery and my phone died. My charger is breaking, so I stopped by the store to get a new one, and we headed back home. I plugged my phone in and let it charge, and we pulled up to my house around 11:30. I was really enjoying his company, and we sat and talked for a while before I decided to head inside at 12 a.m. The doorknob is one of those electronic ones with a pin pad. Usually I walk to my door alone, but I had presents and some snacks, so my boyfriend followed me carrying the cake he'd gotten me. I tried my code, but couldn't get in. I was confused, so I turned my phone on and had texts from my brother's wife stating that if I got home later than 12, I'd be locked out. I didn't see them as my phone had died. We've never spoken about a curfew or made rules that I need to be home by a certain time. I came home later than that all the time when I worked at the restaurant. I didn't know what to do, so we went back to the car. We ended up having to pay $300 for a hotel room at late notice and didn't get into a room until 3 a.m. because everywhere was booked because of Thanksgiving. The original plan was my boyfriend was supposed to go home, but drive back the next day to pick me up to go to my grandma's Thanksgiving today. But I only had the clothes on my back, no toothbrush, no way to take my makeup off. Today, I ended up having a day-long panic attack, crying in my boyfriend's car, and didn't go to my grandma's Thanksgiving, as we both look a hot mess, and I'm just really upset. I feel conflicted. If my brother and his wife don't like me getting home late, it's fine that they feel that way. But to lock me out of the house with less than an hour's notice just seems so cruel to me, especially on Thanksgiving, my birthday. It ruined my plans for today as I couldn't get ready to go see my grandma and family. But I don't know if what I did is truly that bad and I should have known better. I feel like it was a ridiculous reaction, but I don't know. She hasn't texted me back, so I've been out all day just crying because I'm very stressed out. I'm scared I'll go back and still can't get in. I'm scared they're going to corner me again and lecture me or fight with me. I keep thinking, what would I have done if my boyfriend didn't walk me to the door and left, and my phone was at 2% and was locked out? Sleep in my car? I was wearing light clothing and shaking like a leaf on the porch. I still haven't gone home because I'm scared and literally sick from the anxiety. Any advice would be welcomed. I'm not sure how to process or react to this situation. You need to get out of there fast. This is toxic as hell. They're controlling your life and manipulating you relentlessly. And the rest of your family isn't much better. Move out by yourself. In a few months, the anxiety will subside and you'll realize you don't have to worry about people going through your stuff, etc. That's when you can have your partner move in. And be sure you're not continuing weird toxic behaviors without realizing, out of conditioned terror.